Welcome back to another episode of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League. We're happy to have you here on this beautiful July day. I'm Owen Shadrick. He's Matt Ferreira. We're releasing this here on Monday, July 15th. We're a week away from our AllStar Game. A reminder, it is a two-day event. The Home Run Derby will be on Monday, July 22nd, and the actual game itself will be on Tuesday, July 23rd in Norwich, Connecticut. We're pumped for that and pumped for this episode. But before we announce who the guest is, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, like you said, beautiful July day and can't get better. Baseball's being played, so nothing to complain about.
You're right. Baseball is being played, and it has been played since around the end of May. We crowned our May-June player and pitchers of the month, and we have one of those players for you today. Brady Stuart of the Worcester Bravehearts is our guest for Season 9, Episode 5. He talks about his first summer in the Futures League, the stellar start that he has gotten off to, his Endicott career, and much more, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, pitcher of the month, but he's been dominant so far, and we'll get into that with how dominant he's been and how he continues to keep getting better as the season goes on.
It's a great interview, and we don't want you guys to have to wait any longer to hear it. So, we now introduce you to the Worcester Bravehearts pitcher, Brady Stuart. We're honored to be joined by our next guest here on Back to the Futures. He was just named the May-June Pitcher of the Month after having an incredible start to the season. It is Brady Stuart. Brady, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing well, and we'll get right to it. This is your first summer in the Futures League. How has this league differed from the other places that you've played in the past?
Well, last year I was with the Worcester Ronnie, so another Worcester team. Um, kind of I was working more last year too, so I was kind of showing up when I could. But that league was fun. A lot of guys. That was more like some guys out of college or some guys in college. But met a lot of good guys there. This league's probably a little more organized, a little more fun. Some better competition. I mean, every team you go up against has a lot of good guys on the team, both like offensively and defensively, both sides of the plate. So it's probably a little more competitive. Has a great environment, a lot of fans showing up. I love it, so it's been fun.
And you are having a heck of a start to the season. In fact, the best start, as I was mentioned, you were named May-June Pitcher of the Month. You have a 0.33 ERA. You've thrown 20 consecutive scoreless innings, allowing just 9 hits and 4 walks, while striking out a team leading 24, which is good for third in the league. Hearing all that, what does it mean to have such a good start to your summer?
I mean, well, it's obviously pretty cool, but I mean, it's a lot of work that's built up over the past couple of years. Even like back at school, working with Coach Haley, working with all the other pitchers on the staff, and trying to get better. That's what we do at school. It's everybody comes in. I mean, we have a lot of guys that could pitch, so it's like kind of just like iron sharpening iron. A lot of guys working together and competing. And then I got here, and it was just kind of like the same thing. Like our first meeting with Coach Staggs, he's awesome. He was just talking about like getting down in your catch play, working on command and stuff like that, which is something that I've always had to work on. And and other than that, like baseball is just like a team game. So it's like going out there, just throwing strikes, trying not to walk guys. That's the one thing that can frustrate me a little bit is if I walk a guy. So just like not trying to throw strikes, and let him make contact and put our guys in a position to succeed really.
And we've mentioned how good of a season you have had. And I like to ask pitchers especially, do you like to look at your own stats? Because I've personally always liked to look at them to see what I can improve on here and there and what I need to fix going through the season. But I also know people that have been like, I don't want to look at my stats because that doesn't judge how I'm going to do my next game. So do you personally like to look at your stats or no?
I mean, yeah, I don't mind looking at them. Like I don't, because I feel like I can kind of like separate it well. Like I'm not out there on the mound like thinking about them while I'm doing it. I'm just kind of when it's game day, I really just try to compete. Like that's just something else we talk about at school a lot is just competing with whatever stuff you have. So when I'm out there, I like to compete, but like obviously afterwards, yeah, I'll look at them, see like, oh, like I walked like two guys, that can't happen again, or like I hit a guy here or against the lefty or a righty. So whatever it was, I don't mind looking at them. I don't think it gets in the way too much.
Yeah, it's always good to keep kind of your head level minded. And if you look at them, you look at them, you know, you're just out there trying to play ball.
Yeah.
And we interviewed fellow starter Maverick Rizzi at the start of the season, and he talked very highly of you guys, your teammates, and the pitching staff. What are your impressions of not only your pitching staff, but the locker room chemistry so far?
Um, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like there's a lot of joking around, a lot of good guys on the team, and it's kind of like going into it, I wasn't really sure what to expect because it's like a lot of guys that I've never met before from a bunch of different schools, so they obviously didn't really know each other too well either. But like right when I stepped in, like the first day, I met a group of guys, met a lot of all the pitchers, and it's kind of just like worked seamlessly. Like everyone kind of gets along, like cracking jokes, playing cards, doing whatever in the locker room, and then on the field, obviously we all mesh pretty well together. It's a pretty cool group, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to be like that, but after however many weeks I've been there, I feel like I've built like a lot of friendships with guys.
And on June 28th, you nearly had a no hitter, going 8 2/3, one hit allowed, and 12 punch outs against the Road Warriors. What is going through your head during a start like that?
Um, well, for the first 5 innings, obviously it's not like something that, like, to be honest, you don't really think about it. I'm just trying to like do my best and just dominate, to be honest. That's what I try to do every time out there. Um, but like as you get like later on into the game, you kind of like think about it in between innings. But like once I'm on the mound, like I don't really think about it again. I just think about like each pitch, pitch by pitch, because that's what really gets you to like to your end goals is just working pitch by pitch, and making sure not to like make too much of one pitch and too little of another one, because that's when it can really get you. And just trying to hit your spots and mix it up well, and that's really it. Just staying by pitch is huge.
And how disappointed were you by the ending of letting up that last hit with 1 out remaining?
I mean, it happens. I mean, it's cool to even like make it that far, to be honest. So, I mean, Staggs came out, he calls the pitches for us, and I don't really shake him off. That's just kind of like I think I can go with whatever I want. And he came out after and was like, "Hey, man, that's my bad. We should have went with another slider." I was like, "Dude, I don't really care. It's fine. It's whatever happens." So, I mean, obviously, it's pretty cool, and I had a lot of friends and family there because that was the first time I got to pitch or start at a home game. So I let them know that I was pitching, and a lot of people came, so it was pretty cool to do that in front of them also.
And that's something else I want to talk about is being a starter. Pitching every fifth or fourth day compared to coming out and maybe being when you're a reliever and maybe being every day. How do you deal with the pressure of being a starter and having to go multiple innings and knowing you want to save your bullpen?
Well, it was like at school, I started a game or started 2 games, and other than that, I was out of the pen a lot. So that's kind of like what the role I was used to from like this year and even like last year was kind of in between. I started and relieved both. Um, but obviously, like the other day when we were playing Brockton, our coach came up. We didn't have a lot of guys there because we burnt a lot the day before, and it was the 4th of July. So some guys were just like probably on vacation or something. So our coach came up to me and was like, "Hey, we only got this amount of guys." Like he was basically like, "Don't mess it up." And was, so it was kind of just knowing like what you have to do, and it's just like attacking hitters. Um, I've pitch count something that I've kind of had a problem with it in the past, like getting too deep into counts and stuff like that. But I think I've done a better job of just trying to attack. Obviously not the best in my first 2 starts, but recently it's been better. But it's just something that I'm aware of and just keep trying to work at is just attacking the hitters and keeping my pitch count down. So that does allow me to go further and ultimately save the pen.
And you just talked about it. Do you find that that's something the Futures League helps with, where you can kind of practice doing these things, like you said, attacking the hitters, trying to get them out earlier in counts? Is that something you're trying to do in the Futures League before you go back to Endicott?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I needed to work on. I'm still trying to work on like a couple more pitches. Like in my bullpens, I'm throwing a cutter a lot with Stags. He's trying to help me out with that. Throwing a changeup. Haven't really used it too much in games, but like I'm just getting more confident with it. But like ultimately, it's just kind of like just getting on the mound more. You can practice all you want, like bullpens and stuff, but everything's really different when you're on the mound. It's a different in a game environment. So just getting on the mound as much as I can is a pretty big thing for me, I think.
Yeah, actually being thrown into the fire is a lot different than being in the
Yeah,
bullpen
definitely.
wherever.
Hold on, we'll get right Back to the Futures. But first, we want to share a message from our friends at 78 Sports. Do you have kids playing baseball or softball? We all know that practice time is limited, especially here in New England. Not to mention, the cost of lessons and cage time can add up quickly. Save yourself some time and money by giving your kids what they need to work on their game at home. Our friends at 78 Sports can help you put together the perfect at home training setup. Whether you want to start small with just a tee and hitting net, or are looking for a full cage setup with turf and a pitching machine, they have you covered. The team at 78 Sports has designed and installed hundreds of home and commercial sports training facilities. So let them help you plan the perfect setup for your space. Visit 78 Sports website at 78sports.com. That's SEVENTY, the number 8, sports.com. SEVENTY, the number 8, sports.com. Now back to your regular scheduled programming.
And I mentioned Endicott. There are 6 Endicott players in the Futures League, including yourself, with 3 of them on your team alone. What does it mean to see so many of your teammates floating around the Futures League?
I mean, it's pretty cool. We had some guys in the league last year as well. And they kind of like when we were back at school, they like talked about it. But it's pretty cool. Like having them on your team is really cool because you get to show up. Like I'd show up on a Thursday or a Friday, whenever it was, and John's starting, Jay Con's starting. Um, and I got to watch him pitch, so that's pretty cool. We had Jordan here for a while. He was our best pitcher at Endicott last year, so it was cool watching him pitch. Before he had to leave us for Northeastern, but and then when you're playing against him, it's also pretty cool. Like playing against TJ when he's hitting, like he stepped in the box, and it's hard not to like just smile at him when he's standing there, because it's something that's a little foreign, a little different than seeing him like behind you in the field. But it's pretty fun competing against your friends. Kyan was my roommate last year. He's pitching, and he's gonna be my roommate next year. But he's pitching for Nashville. He's doing good, so it's kind of cool just seeing the guys opposite of you, and competing against your friends is always kind of fun.
And you mentioned it, competing against your friends is fun, but do you have extra motivation when your teammates are stepping into the box? Like you're gonna gas a fastball by them?
I mean, yeah, obviously you try to get the bragging rights. But I threw one fastball to TJ and I got away. I almost hit him, and I was like, "Oh, that wouldn't have been good." So, just trying to. After that, I was like, "All right, we got to dial it back and kind of stay within ourselves here." But yeah, it's definitely something that you try to get the bragging rights. But at the end of the day, it just is what it is.
Yeah, your coach would have had your head if you hit him. And at Endicott, talking about achievements that you guys had, you won 2023 and 2024 Super Regionals, securing your bid in the Division III NCAA tournament. What did it mean to win Super Regionals in back-to-back years?
It's pretty cool to be honest. Like I've been there for 2 years and we've made it to the World Series 2 years, and I'm aware that that's not like normal. Like that's not something that happens for a lot of people, and it's truly a blessing. But um, it's kind of like the norm now. There is like we have to like put in the work in order to get there, and we know that like everything resets. Like when we go back in the fall, there's going to be a lot of huge pieces from last year that aren't there this year, and someone needs to fill in those shoes. And we're going to put in the work in order to make sure we can fill in those shoes. Um, Obviously this year we wanted to win it all. Like that was the goal in the beginning of the year. Is like we're trying to win it all here. But it's pretty cool to go on a deep run because at the end of the year when it's just the baseball team on campus, like you're hanging out with the boys like all day, like it's pretty fun. And our coach always talks about like, hey, we're playing to play, like hang out with each other. We're playing to create memories with each other for a couple more weeks here. So that's like a big thing that we do, and it's pretty fun when you get to go on a deep run and spend more time with the guys.
And you talked about it being not normal. You guys had an abnormal season going 47-4, which is unheard of. What was it like just like having those streaks of feeling like you're never going to lose again?
It's pretty cool. Like we have a lot of talented guys on the team. So like when we're going into a game and say like we're losing 4-1 and going into the seventh inning, and like we'll be sitting in the bullpen and we'll be like, it's like, all right, now like here we go, like let's lock it in, and then next thing you know, like Noda hits a 3-run home run in the super regional, or somebody smokes a double, and now you got a guy on second leading off the inning, and there's always just like, it seems like someone can create that spark, and we're never out of a game. And we always like just scrap and find ways to win, whatever it may be, whether it's like bunting a guy over in a big spot, or driving in a sack fly. It's just, we kind of always just find ways to win, and it was a pretty cool thing to watch from the bullpen, or like even when you're on the mound and someone's making a crazy play behind you in order to keep a run off second or whatever it is. It's a pretty special thing, and it's not just one guy, like it's the whole team from like top to bottom. Everyone plays a role, and they know that, and it's kind of a pretty cool thing to see.
And unfortunately, with the wins, we have to also talk about the losses. And your NCAA dreams came to an end against the eventual champs in Mr. Cordia. What did that loss teach you, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, they're a pretty good team. They play a different brand of baseball. Obviously, they like to stand on top of the plate. If it was on like Sports Center or something on Instagram, the hit by pitch numbers. But it's kind of like it's something that it's different. So you're like not always prepared for it. They beat us last year as well. And they beat us this year and eventually won it all because I mean they were a good team, but I didn't get to pitch this year against them. But it's something that like it's something different. Learning you should have to attack guys differently. They like to scrap, bunt guys over, stand on top of the plate, get hit by pitches. So it's a different like type of attacking versus like you just going after guys and giving them your best stuff. But um, it's something that hopefully we can learn from as a pitching staff. We're gonna have a lot of guys coming back next year and new guys coming in, but hopefully it's something we can learn from, and then next year hopefully be a little bit better.
Yeah, you actually talked just about my next question was they had 147 hit by pitches in 55 games. And did any of your teammates like talk about like pitching them outside and it slap it the other way, or like if you pitch them inside and they lean in, like how crazy they were at a plate approach this year?
Yeah, I mean it's something that Coach Haley would talk about is like the best hitters you have to get in on them. So obviously when they're standing on top of the plate, it makes it harder to get in, which is like it's a good strategy. Then going away makes it a little easier for them to like still be able to stay on that pitch. But I think like just being able to mix well, like mix between like a fastball, slider, and a changeup, whatever you have, is another like big thing that can kind of hopefully change the outcome of whoever you're playing is just mixing well. But yeah, it's definitely a different like brand of baseball when you're going out there and a guy standing on top of the plate or whatever. But it's just learning how to compete with whatever's across from you and competing with what you have, and ultimately hopefully just trying to win the game.
Yeah, that's a great mentality. No matter what the other team is dishing out, it's all about staying focused and trying to win. And we talked about the wins, we talked about the losses. Let's go back to the wins for a second. Another thing that you guys did this year was win your conference, that is now the ninth time that you've won the CCC. What is it like to continue to be dominant in your own conference?
Yeah, this year the conference, I mean, it was a little different without Salve. Like last year when I came in, it was like they came in the first weekend that we played them, like not in the playoffs, just the regular season, and it was like, all right, we got Salve this weekend, like it was like a kind of a different energy. Like it was like my first like feeling of like playoff baseball, and then we saw them again in the championship as well as like throughout the CCC tournament, and it was like they were like the team that we were going up against. And then this year it was Western New England, Roger Williams. I mean, there were a lot of good teams that like Roger Williams, just like a scrappy team that could find ways to win, and they beat us in the regular season, and we were trying to get back at them for that. Western New England always puts up good fights, so it was it was like a kind of like a when you get to playoff baseball, it's like a different energy. So we're trying to just like match the energy and bring all the energy we have and leave it out there because you never know when it could be your last game.
That is true. You never know when it can be your last game. Before we return to Back to the Futures, we want to share a message from our friends at Zorian Bat Company. Rob Zorian started the company, Zorian Bat Company, in 2003, literally out of the trunk of his gold car in Davie, Florida. Within 2 years, he was selling the wood bat line to the MLB and continues to manufacture the highest grade wood bats for the Little League all the way up to the majors. Rob Zorian, founder and president of Zorian, says, I started this company in 2003 to service all baseball players in the United States and beyond, and after 19 years, our mission has not changed. We are excited to have the opportunity to work with the Futures League and wish all of the players and coaches a healthy and successful season ahead. For more information about Zorian, visit their website at zorianbats.com. Zorian, America's baseball brand. Now, back to the Futures. And from where you are now to the beginning of it all, what led you to Endicott and what was your recruitment process like there?
Um, well, Coach Haley saw me at the Bay State games. I think it was my junior year. So it's just like it was like it's like a week long tournament for like different regions in Massachusetts. And my team was lucky enough to win the gold medal that year. I pitched there with a couple of my friends, a couple of guys I knew, and a couple of guys that are on the team now actually. And he just reached out to me, as well as some other coaches, and we set up a visit. I toured there, and I really liked it. I only visited two schools. I visited Wheaton, and then I visited Endicott with Coach Haley and Coach O when he was there. And I really liked Endicott. I didn't even tour anywhere else, and I really liked it. So we texted back and forth, and I let him know that I was going to go there, and that's where I ended up deciding on going.
Yeah, and clearly you made the right choices. You've talked very highly of it, and your stats definitely show that you've had some fun there. And one thing we like to ask Division 3 players that come on this podcast: how much pride do you take in being a Division 3 baseball player?
A lot. I mean, it's it's pretty cool. I mean, like other D1 guys or even D2 guys on the team, like you talk to them and they talk about like whatever they have for D1, like they travel here, blah blah blah. And like D3, like it's a different type of like environment. Like it's more like you got to go to class. You go to class here. You have to like make sure you can get to class and get to practice and schedule your practices so you have no conflicts in getting to practice and other stuff like that. So I feel like it's almost like sometimes it can be more of like a gritty process, but it kind of like builds character. Um, I mean, I love it. It's fun. Um, and yeah, overall, I would say it's. I mean, I don't know what it's like to pitch at like a D1 place or anything like that, so I can't really speak on that. But I would say D3 is it's a pretty fun time, and it's definitely helped me like progress as both like a player and as a person. So it's been pretty important to me.
And for you, what does it mean to be able to face not only other D3 talent, but also other divisions of baseball within the Futures League?
Yeah, it's definitely a big thing. Like you're playing against a lot of talented guys. Um, and playing against we play against some D3 guys that like we've played in the regular season, and some of the better D3 players are in this league. So like getting to face the best of the best like every time is something that like definitely is gonna help everyone like going forward into next season. And then facing like D1 guys, like it's some like those are the guys that you're not gonna see in the regular season for us. So it's cool to like see different talent, see new guys, and be able to compete against them. And they're getting better by facing us, and we're getting better by facing them. So it's a pretty cool like collusion of everything, and it definitely helps out everyone.
Yeah, that's great. And, one thing that is going to culminate with everybody being in the Futures League is our All-Star game, which on release day will be a week away. What would it mean for you to be named an All-Star and be able to play with these guys in Norwich?
I mean, it would definitely be pretty cool. It's something that like you don't really think about. Like it's every time it really goes week by week when you're starting. So it's like just trying to get ready for the next start and trying to like just do your best to win the game. Um, and like to be an all-star is a pretty cool thing. I haven't really thought about it too much, to be honest. Um, but it's something that I wouldn't exactly expect going into this. I was just trying to like, focus on some things that I need to get better with, but that would definitely be something that's pretty cool.
And you've talked about how you want to improve on attacking hitters in the Futures League. But other than that, what are you hoping to go back to school having gained out this summer?
Just like experience starting. Also like just experience like working on like my other pitches. Part of like my end of the year meeting with our coach was like, hey, like try to build up as a starter, like work on the changeup because that's going to be a big pitch for me next year if I can keep working on that and build it into my game against both sides of the plate, lefties and righties, hopefully. It's just another pitch that I can have in order to throw, and then I'm working on a cutter too, so hopefully I can be able to use that in a game, and then just so it's kind of just like working on my craft basically, just working on the things that I need to refine, like working on my command. That's another thing that you can't work on enough. So it's just really all aspects working on my craft and just trying to get better.
And the one question that we ask everybody that comes on this podcast is, what is your all-time favorite baseball memory?
Oh man, I've got a lot. My freshman year, I won the district title with my brother. That was a pretty cool. It was a pretty cool moment. When I was 12, I hit a walk-off home run in the state championship. That was pretty, or that might have been my 11U year actually. That was a pretty cool moment. Probably one of those two. I'd have to say winning with my brother was pretty fun because that was the only year we really got to play together. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it always means more when you get to accomplish something with your siblings. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Brady, this has been fantastic. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Congratulations again on a stellar start to the season. And we look forward to seeing more of you across the stat sheets, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This has been season 9, episode 5 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see everyone soon.